Hi everyone, it's me, Krista. Welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. If not, welcome for the very first time to my little art corner here on YouTube. Today I am trying out the items that came in the regular Artsnacks box for December 2019. I'm going to be drawing a hand, and originally it was going to be a hand with a sort of crystal ball towards the tips of the fingers. For that I was inspired by the colors with the more red violets and then the metallic deeper purple. It made me think of witchy vibes for some reason. Then I started also thinking about Labyrinth with David Bowie and when he starts juggling the little glass balls. That was originally where this was going, but I ended up turning it into a sort of starburst later, much later. There were two items that I had an issue with the last time I used them because they came in a different subscription box and I tried them out. Those two items were the Kuretake Zig White Cartoonist Brush Pen, and the other item was a Caran Brush Marker Pro. The Caran marker, when I used it last time, it literally started eating through the paper really badly, and that was a smooth watercolor paper, so I decided to go with a rougher, thicker watercolor paper. The paper I'm using is actually by Hanmule Burgund, and they are watercolor postcards. It is a rough texture, it is much thicker than what I used previously, and it is 4.1 by 8.3 inches. For the actual drawing, I started with doing a sketch using a normal little Bic mechanical pencil, and then I started going in with the Caran Brush Marker Pro and doing a basic layer for most of the drawing. I actually really like how this thicker paper worked with the items that came. It holds up to everything really well and adds this wonderful texture to the entire drawing. After I got my base layer with that Caran marker in, I decided to switch over to the Kuretake Zig Wink of Luna Metallic Brush Pen in Violet. I really like the color of this. I like the little bit of sheen it has, and it works really well to add some darker shading to the Caran marker. These two colors work really well together. Chemically, they also played really well together. I could layer one on top of the other and go back and forth between the two quite a bit, and they didn't separate or do anything funky when I did that. The Kuretake Zig Wink of Luna Metallic Brush Pen, I had some issues with the ink itself collecting inside of the actual tube and not wanting to come out, and when I squeezed it, it would bubble a little bit through a tiny little hole that is near where the brush tip is. I had to shake it a lot, and I tried not to squeeze the ink until it was absolutely necessary, because when I would squeeze, sometimes more would come out than what I wanted. It was difficult to get it to flow to a certain point. I noticed what helped me was I put it in a cup while I wasn't using it and let the ink kind of flow down to that tip. It seems to be better stored that way than on its side. The Kuretake Zig White Cartoonist Brush Pen, I did remember to wipe it off after I used it last time for a little test swatch, because it says to do so in the instructions that were included this time. Also, not to try to clean it off with water. So basically I'm just using an old towel and wiping it off every so often in between, also while drawing, but especially if I'm going to stop and go take a break or anything like that. It seemed to work fairly well for the most part. I had a much better experience with it this time. There was one instance a little bit later where extra ink kind of flew onto the drawing. It globbed on there, but I was able to wipe it up really quickly with a towel. I also didn't notice the texture as much this time as I did last time. The last time I was using a smooth watercolor paper though, so that rough whiteout texture would not be nearly as noticeable on this because it is already a fairly textured rough little paper. Overall, I had a much better experience with both that and the Caran marker this time than I had previously. I actually really enjoyed how the Caran marker worked with this paper. It's really wet, it flows really well, and I think if you use a thinner paper because of how wet that marker is, that it will eat through the paper again. But since it's a nice thick paper that can hold on to it, it worked out pretty well. The Kuretake Zig White Cartoonist Brush Pen is not as opaque as I ever want it to be. It is good for doing some shading in between, especially when mixed with the different markers we have going on. It just does not get that bright white that I love when I am using a white pen or a white paint. I feel like this combination of items worked really well, and I was able to get a decent range of shading with just the items that came in here, and that's partially because they included a white and a black. I was also able to use my finger to help blend out the Kiritake white cartoonist brush pen to help it create some midtones between the lightest areas and the darkest areas. I just kept layering to my heart's content. After I took a food break, I realized I made a really stupid mistake that I should have caught during the sketch. I missed a third finger joint. I currently only have 2 per finger. I was able to adjust. Luckily, these markers, as long as you know how to do it, you can adjust as you go along. If you use enough layers, you can fix almost anything. When I came back from my break, I did not realize that I had accidentally knocked over the Artsnacks box to where it is now in the shot. I was so focused in on working on the drawing that I did not notice that. Sorry, guys. Do any of you get like that, where you focus in so much on something that you don't notice little things that are happening around you? Let me know in that comment section down below. I do end up using the Edding 1880 draw liner to do some of the final outlining, but first I use the Kiritake Zig Wink of Luna in that nice beautiful deep purple to do some thicker lines. I then go over it with the smaller black liner. I also use the smaller black liner to create some shading, and I do that by creating little lines that follow the texture of the paper. At this point in the drawing, I am deciding that I need to do something more with that little ball area I have going on. At first, I was going to try to make it look like an iris with a pupil, and then have lights coming out of it that way. That didn't quite work out, so I end up slowly but surely adding more and more white lines, and then going back in with some of the other marker colors to create a sort of starburst effect. Although the final product is not exactly how I imagined it to begin with, I am much happier with how it ended up than where it started. Sometimes that happens. I might try the original idea again some other time, but I really like how this one turned out at the very end. I think the theme with the color scheme just ended up working really well. Although I do end up making some minor adjustments after I stopped filming. Mostly what I did was I just sharpened up that back fingernail. It's a little more rounded than the other two are. They're more triangular, so I made it a little pointier later. And at that point, the Kiritake Zig White Cartoonist brush pen had fully betrayed me. It leaked out extra paint multiple times, like 3 or 4 times. So I had to keep going back in with the towel and wiping it up quickly so it didn't set and dry. Now that I've used the items that came in the Artsnacks box for December 2019 for a full project, I discovered that I actually liked it. I enjoyed this one a lot. The colors work really well together, and I was able to figure out ways to use some items that I previously really hated in new and different ways. I still had some issues with the white Kiritake marker, but at least for the most part I figured out ways around it. And when it did mess up, I was able to fix it. And that's what fully matters. At least it didn't completely ruin the entire project. I just realized that both of my boxes for this month, between Artsnacks and Sketchbox, that I got a bunch of purple between the two. It just must be my color for the month. The project is almost done, therefore this video is almost done. If you liked this video, please hit that like button. If you have any comments, questions, feelings, or concerns, or if you want to let me know what colors you got in this month's box, what you did with the stuff in here, or if you've ever used any of the stuff before, if you liked it, disliked it, let me know in that comment section down below. I look forward to hearing from you guys soon. If you want to see more videos like this, please feel free to subscribe. I want to take this moment to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day or night to watch this video and to listen to me ramble about art stuff. I greatly appreciate it. Once again, I look forward to hearing from you guys soon, and you'll definitely be hearing from me soon. Bye, everybody!